We're continuing with the series on Emunah. Again, Refuah Shlema Lisheva Bas Sora. She should have a tremendous Refuah Shlema B'Soik Shah Choyle Yisrael. So we yesterday got into the sugya of B'tochen. And the gewaltige advantages that B'tochen has in your personal life. One of them being the menuchas hanefesh that a person lives with when he knows that the Ribbono Shel Olam is with him and he has the Ribbono Shel Olam to rely on in every situation. You know, we all know the famous story of the Heilige Rebbe Kiva, the Tana Rebbe Kiva. Rebbe Kiva was 40 years old, as the Gemara in Pesachim tells us in Mem Tes Amud Beis, that Rebbe Kiva was 40 years old and he didn't learn anything, he barely even knew the Aleph Beis. And the Gemara tells us that he wasn't just unlearned. People think Rebbe Kiva didn't know any Torah. It actually goes a stage beyond that. Not only did Rebbe Kiva not know any Torah, but actually Rebbe Kiva said the following. You know what Rebbe Kiva said? He said, give me a Talmud Chacham, I will bite him like a donkey. Okay? Rabbi Kiva hated Talmidei Chachamim. He didn't enjoy anyone that's sitting and learning. This is Rabbi Kiva. Our Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva. This was our Rabbi Kiva. And yet, he despised Talmidei Chachamim. The Gemara tells us that before, Pesachim. He said, give me a Talmud Chacham, I'll bite him. Can you imagine what that is? Can you imagine what level that is? And then all of a sudden, one day, as the Ovester of Nosson tells us, Rabbi Kiva was standing famously by the well, and he saw the water penetrating, going into a stone, making an impression, which you could say, wow, unbelievable. But when you think about it, it is an amazing thing, because water is very, very soft. And when water drops, it doesn't really do anything. Water could drop on this wooden table from today until tomorrow straight. It will not penetrate the table. It might make it moldy, but it won't actually make a hole. It won't make a dent in the table itself because water is soft. It doesn't do anything. Right? The Rambam says in Hilchos Talmud Torah that water is the thing that it spreads. Right? For example, if there's a leak in your house, the only thing that's really going to go everywhere is water, because the water is always able to find any area, every crack and every hole. Water's got diversity. And yet this water, Rabbi Kiva was able to penetrate into the stone. Now it took years and years for that to happen, but it happened. And Rabbi Kiva saw that. And it talked to him. And he said, you know something? If that can happen to a stone, then even me, said Rabbi Kiva, can change over there. If soft water can basically wear away a hard stone, the words of Torah, which are always, as we know, compared to water, Torah is compared to water, because water goes everywhere, Torah goes everywhere, and therefore the Torah will be able to penetrate my heart, and he made a commitment. That's what he did. Now, what happened? What happened is that the Ribbono Shel Olam sent Rabbi Kiva a message. He sent him a message. Now, the Ribbono Shel Olam often in our lives also sends us messages. The question is, do we pick up on those messages? Do we do something? Do we react? Do we change? Do we become something? That's what we have to realize. The Ribbono Shel Olam sends us messages in our lives. We all have messages. We all have things that the Ribbono Shel Olam, sort of tests us out and shows us things. The question is, do we answer the call or do we ignore it and not even realize that the Ribbono Shel Olam is talking to us? I'll tell you a Moedika Maisa. Listen to this Maisa. There was a Yid called Rav Shmuel Yerachmiel Kaufman. It's a true story, this one. Okay, he was a big mechanech from Detroit, and he heard of an airline that was selling tickets to Chicago for 32 cents. 32 cents is how much? How much in a shekel? About a shekel? Okay, about a shekel. So can you imagine, right? So he's buying from Detroit to Chicago. Now, normally it costs $30, $40, $50. And obviously it was a mistake from $32 to 32 cents. The airline obviously made a mistake. So he decided, you know what? My son is learning in Chicago. What an amazing opportunity. Not that $30 is too much, but 32 cents, I can't resist. So that's it. I'm going to book a ticket to Chicago. His Talmud drove him to the airport in Detroit, and he was a bit nervous, is his Rebbe, the Talmud, when he was driving in there, is my Rebbe going to be allowed onto the plane, right? And he saw there was a line outside the door. There was more than enough people to fill the flight. Obviously, everyone had also found the same cheap deal. And he said to his Rebbe, Rebbe Shmuel, do you want me to wait here in case you're not going to be allowed on the flight? It looks like there's way more people than the flight can take. Maybe I'll just wait here and see if you're not going to be allowed on. I'll take you back. So Rebbe Shmuel told him not to wait. He said, I have betochen that for 32 cents, I'm getting on that flight. So the Talmud said, okay. Within a short amount of time, the flight was full. And the announcement was made that anybody waiting in line, I'm really, really sorry, but you can leave because there's no flight for you. We're not going to be flying at this time. So Shmuel said, no, I've got bitachon. I'm going to wait. So he decides to wait. And he waits until the time of actual departure. And the time for takeoff came. One of the passengers decided that, that's it. I'm not sitting around. It's too long to wait. I demand a refund. And he wanted to leave the flight. So Shmuel heard the commotion. So he said, I'll give you a refund. It's not exactly very, very expensive. And he gave him the money. And he gave him 32 cents. The guy's like, no, I'm not taking 32 cents. I want at least $2. Okay, fine. I'll give you $2 for the flight. I'll buy it for the two. But actually, the truth is like this. Actually, Shmuel said, no, I'm not going to give you $2 because I have bitachon that I'm getting on this flight for 32 cents. A gentleman came over to Rav Shmuel and said to him, are you a rabbi? He said, yes. He said, okay, no problem. I'm going to buy the guy's ticket for $2 and I'm going to give it to you because this is the very first time this airline is flying and I need a rabbi on board to make sure that it's safe when I'm going to fly. Okay, it's a true story. Now, here, again, it's a small little story, right? But if a Yid has bitachon, if a Yid really has bitachon and he believes that everything comes from the Rabbeinu Shalom and everything that comes his way comes from Hashem, so he lives a different life. He lives a different life. I remember I was once, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Matasol Solomon from Lakewood, who's originally from Gateshead, but now, Baruch Hashem, he's in Lakewood, and what did I say? Baruch Hashem. No, he's now spreading Torah in a much bigger tzibur. Anyway, so I was meeting a big asken. I was meeting a big asken in Lakewood, as you do. And he said to me the following. He said to me, he was once walking with Rav Matisyahu, and they were discussing a certain inyan. And he said to Rav Matisyahu, he said, yeah, Hashem will help. So Rav Matisyahu stopped walking and said, no. So he's like, he was taken aback. What do you mean, no? I mean, what's happening now? So he said, Rav Matisyahu told him, no, Hashem doesn't help. Hashem does everything. And that's something that we have to realize in our own lives very much, that everything that happens in our lives happens because there's a Rabbeinu Shalom, and it's because we trust in Hashem.
When we ask Hashem, say Hashem, please help me make this deal. Hashem, please give me this deal.
You're allowed to ask for the Rabbeinu Shalom to help you. But ultimately you have to realize who does everything, it's the Rabbeinu Shalom. It's not the pshat that we do everything and Hashem just helps us off. We have to do our hishtadlus. We have to try, right? The Chovos HaLevavos, for example, in Shara B'Tachon brings down that when it comes to work, a person can't say, you know something? I trust in Hashem. I'm going to sit back and Hashem's going to make me a parnasa. It doesn't work that way. You've got to do hishtadlus. And what hishtadlus? The normal hishtadlus that's done for whatever business that you're doing. But you have to trust in Hashem. You have to realize everything is the Rabbeinu Shalom. You have to realize that everything that we rely on is from Hashem. When we get something, it belongs to the Rabbeinu Shalom. We make a bracha on something. Why are we making a bracha? Because it belongs to Hashem. We're asking rishus. Even the food that we have doesn't belong to us. Right? The Gemara tells us in brachas that if a person eats without making a bracha, he's stealing from Hashem. Why? Because the bracha gives you the rishus to eat. We rely on the Rabbeinu Shalom for everything in our life. Can you imagine what your life would look like if you believe this and you live this with every vessel in your body? You realize the Rabbeinu Shalom runs your life. He runs everything about you. And that's what's very, very important. Okay, so that is today's sugya of B'tachon. Tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem will continue with one last share on the inyan of Emunah and B'tachon.